Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Greenspan, nice to see you again. I always enjoy your presentations, as you know, and I never cease being astounded about how your observations about our economy are so far removed from the reality that I see every day in my state, middle-class people, and what I see all over the country. It's like we live in two different worlds. You talk about optimism. I see in my state and around this country that the middle class is shrinking, that ordinary people are working longer hours for lower wages. I see that since 2001, 3 million more Americans have become poor. I see more and more Americans without any health insurance. I see retirees now losing the benefits that corporate America promised to them. I see older workers worried about the pensions that they were promised but which they may never get. And that's what I see. That's the bad news. But the good news, which you haven't talked about enough, is that many of your friends, the wealthiest people in this country, are doing phenomenally well. While over the last 27 years, the real income of the bottom 90% of American taxpayers actually fell by 7%, the income of the top 1% rose by 148%, and the income of the richest 1/100th of 1%, the really good friends of yours, they rose by 599%. So maybe that's the difference in perception. Some of us go out, we talk to middle-class people and working people. Now, Mr. Greenspan, over the last 3 years, the U.S. has lost almost 3 million good-paying manufacturing jobs, representing 16% of our total factory workforce. Manufacturing employment has gone down 43 consecutive months, which hasn't happened since the Great Depression. Due to our disastrous trade policies, which you advocate for very, very strongly, American companies have shipped millions of decent-paying jobs overseas to countries like China, where if workers try to form a union, they get fired. If they try to protect the environment, they may go to jail. People like the CEO of General Electric, Jeffrey Immelt, and many others, stand up proudly to advocate how they're going to shut down plants in America and move to China. And while decent-paying manufacturing jobs in this country decline, the largest employer in the United States is now Walmart, which pays people poverty wages, fights unions ruthlessly, and provides miserable benefits. A new study came out, as you may be aware of, that indicated that the new jobs being created in this country, primarily service jobs, Walmart-type jobs, pay 21% less than the old jobs that we are losing. Not only are we losing manufacturing jobs, we're now losing white-collar information technology jobs because they're going to India. Now, last year, what I thought was an incredible statement, you stated, and let me quote it, quote, "Is it important for an economy to have manufacturing? There is a big dispute on this issue. If there is no concern about access to foreign producers of manufactured goods, then I think you can argue it does not really matter whether or not you produce them or not," end of quote, Mr. Alan Greenspan. In other words, according to you, it doesn't matter whether we get our goods purchased in China from people making 20 cents an hour or they're produced in the United States from people making $20 an hour. Now, interestingly, and this is my question, the Bush administration apparently agrees with you. According to the Seattle Times, the Bush administration believes, and I quote, "The movement of American factory jobs and white-collar work to other countries is part of a positive transformation that will enrich the U.S. economy." So my question is, do you agree with the Bush administration that it doesn't matter if we lose good-paying manufacturing and information technology jobs and they're replaced by low-wage Walmart jobs?
Congressman, let me actually agree with some of your figures, but give you a different perspective on what creates them. First of all, if all of the jobs are being lost in the United States over the years, and this goes back to the problems we used to have where we were losing jobs to low-wage Japan, then we were losing jobs to low-wage Mexico, then to low-wage China. Now the Mexicans are complaining that they're losing jobs to low-wage China.
Yes.
Through all of this, the real wage of the average American has been rising, and rising at a reasonably strong clip. The question that you, I think, properly raise is the income distribution question, because it is the case that people at the lower end of the skill spectrum have had very considerable difficulty in raising their real wages, where those at the upper end have shown significant so-called skill premiums. And what this turns out to be, regrettably, is a problem of a mismatch between a growing, more sophisticated conceptual capital stock, meaning the means by which we produce goods and services in this country is ever increasingly more ideas and skills and less physical input and manual labor. That's been the long-term...
I don't mean to interrupt you, sir, and I wish we had more... But you didn't answer my question. Do you agree with the President? Do you agree with the President that it's a good idea that we lose good-paying jobs?
Governor Castle.
Can he answer the question?
Thank you. Gentleman's
I
time has
can't
expired.
answer the question without answering the question,
you
and I'm
didn't
trying
answer
to
the
do that.
Gentleman from Delaware.
Mr. Chairman.
The point that I'm trying to suggest to you, Congressman, is that the gross domestic product in this country is becoming increasingly more conceptual as the years go on over the generations, and that it is important for our workforce, of necessity, to match the skills that are required to produce the goods and services which we do. Regrettably, we need to do more as far as education is concerned to move our skills level in line with the growth in the conceptual underlying technology of what it is we produce. We have not been able, please...
The gentleman's time has once again expired. The gentleman from Delaware.
But may I just make one final sentence, please? The point at issue here is that we are ending up with an inadequate ability to move skills up sufficiently quickly. And this, as you point out, has created a problem of excess supply versus demand amongst our lower skills, and the reverse in the top. And that is something we have to address. And I happen to agree with Congressman Frank that it is very important in this country not only to have an equitable society, but to have it perceived as being equitable, because no democratic system can function unless the people believe it is equitable. And I think that it is crucially important for us to reduce the income inequality in this country, and I think the way that one has to do that by any means that I can see is through education. And I must say to you, the community colleges in this country have been in the forefront of a major change in the quality of what we are doing with respect to reestablishing skills. So I agree with your numbers, I just disagree with the conclusion you've come to.
Gentleman from the first state.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.